Okay guys, so before I jump into my, I think, amazing YouTube video today, like I really mean that, but it'd be difficult to talk about today's session while I'm going through what it is I talked about today. So because I've done lots of videos on long runs and I've kind of explained what I'm doing, I'm going to show you bits of the long run today. It was 5K easy, 10K at steady, that sort of fat max area. I just did a video on that. You can check that out if you like. But then I do 5 times 2K, a roundabout marathon effort. I do check lactate, we can see that, and look after my heart rate and some of the fuel and stuff. And I'll put little bits up about that, the paces, the heart rates. But it was 5 times 2K marathon effort, and that was the final 15K. 2K marathon effort around about, I think it was 6:15, so 5-minute mile pace. And then 1K at an active recovery that was around about 5:40 pace, so I think 3:30 per K. So I'm going to let you check that out, but I'm going to dive into how to bloody be better at running, how to achieve something that you've never ever achieved before, how to surprise yourself, how to shock the world. Some people will love it, some people will think, shit, I wish there was some type of secret, recipe of this training, but it's just bloody hard work. So enjoy that session. It went really good. I'm really happy with how it went with 3 weeks to Berlin, but I hope you really like this one. I think for a lot of people, this will be a difficult video. It's how can you possibly expect to achieve something in life, in sport, in anything that you do, and hope that there'll be a way to do that or achieve that almost in this easy manner. And I was having a conversation with my physio, it was last week. I was planning to do the Antrim Coast half marathon. Things had been tough for me in life that we don't need to get into today. But I also just knew that even in the running element of actual race readiness, I wasn't ready. I had allowed myself to just get a little bit soft. And so this conversation with the physio, I was talking about all, the training that I've been doing, and I've been documenting a lot of that on YouTube, and so you can see it, or you might have already seen it. But it was going well. By all accounts, it looks like it's going really well, but it's like that working on threshold all the time, working on the science all the time, getting the lab test looking really good. It serves a purpose, but the part of running that you can't quantify is how much are you willing to hurt? How much are you willing to suffer to achieve whatever it is that you really want to achieve? And so this conversation with the physio was, and I know I say it a lot, but when I ran 209 for the marathon in 2020, here he goes again, I achieved something that in my opinion was way above my pay grade. Why I say way above my pay grade is because when you look at the guys running 209 or 6108 for a half marathon, these guys are switched on all the time. They go on camps all the time. They're dedicated all the time. They maybe, I can't speak for them, but their career path might look a lot different from mine, because my career path has always been up and down and here and left and right and indecision, and I have ADHD. It's something I just have to figure out and deal with and work with. But I achieved something way beyond my pay grade, because on the day of London Marathon in 2020, not only was my physiology, the science, in a good place, I was able to get from A to B as quickly as I could through sheer hard work and willingness to push. And I mean push. I mean hurt way more than I've ever hurt before. From mile 12, mile 13, I wanted to stop. I wanted it to be over. I wanted to drop out. I remember mile 12, mile 13, everybody was dropping out. It was cold, it was windy, it was wet, it was cold. I've already said that. I thought to myself, what would people think if you dropped out? Would they care? A few people might, but most people would say, Scully, that was tough out there, super windy, sleet, cold, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, what would the people that follow you and support you, how do they think you'd handle this situation? And I thought, fuck, they think I'm an animal. They think I'd just keep going, I'd persevere. Truth be told, likely over this last 2 years, it's like I've been looking to find some secret recipe or some secret way to get back to that fitness. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I don't think there is a secret way. I think it's a lot of hard work. I think it's doing hard things that you perhaps didn't want to do. The conversation with the physio, I know I've mentioned that a couple of times now, so I'll come back to it. But the conversation with the physio was, I check all these lactates all the time now, and I'm boasting about how low they are and all this and getting all excited about it. And in 2020, if I was doing a session with, Mo Farah, Bashir Abdi, these Olympic medalists, and I let a gap open up and I jogged in and I looked really comfortable and I checked my lactate, and the coach would look at me and I'd say, yes, my lactate's 2. And he'd say, why the fuck did you let that gap grow? You're going to jog in here, comfortable, looking good, feeling good, and you let a gap open? They don't let gaps open. That system was keep up for as long as you can and then dig in a bit further and go further than you've ever gone before, harder than you've ever gone before. Take a little bit of rest and then do it again. That was a much different system to what I do now. And I'm not going to go back on everything I've said about the importance of threshold and how important it is to develop that. But I'm here to address the fact that science will only get you so far. And that next part is the capacity to endure hard work. I remember doing a session, it was on the track, it was really difficult, I wanted to drop out. Mo Farah's coach, Gary Locke, Paula Radcliffe's husband, he turned to me and said, don't you dare give up. And then after the rep, he said, Scully, that's your problem. You always want to be comfortable. And I thought about it, and I thought he's right. But it wasn't that it was a choice that I wanted to be comfortable. Naturally, humans want to be comfortable. It's just the way we are. But it was more that my body believed that to run a marathon, you had to be comfortable. I had been taught that for 26.2 miles, you cannot possibly push or something bad happens. And Gary turned to me and said, when Paula Radcliffe broke the world record, do you think she was comfortable? And I realized that you can race another athlete. Your threshold speed can be better than theirs. But at the finish line, nobody's checking lactate. If they can hurt more than you can, if they can endure pain more than you can, if they can suffer more than you can, they might beat you even though their lactate, how hard they were working was way higher. So you can brag all you want about that low lactate. You can get all excited that it's in a good place and threshold's in a good place. But don't forget that running is getting from A to B as quickly as you can. It's that simple. And so how you start to develop that is practicing doing hard things in training. I feel like where my career is going to go now is that I'm going to have, benchmarks that I know that I need to work on. Things that in training I know are super important. And everybody should know what they are. And that's your strength work. And that's your recovery stuff, your lifestyle stuff. That's like your threshold pace. Where's your threshold pace at? Your 10K fitness, your 5K fitness. How about your long run? Just like I'm doing today. But what you need is these benchmarks that you need them to be in a good place. That's a fact, right? But running really is 90% psychological and 10% all this, right? This stuff, without that, the 90% headspace or willingness to push is a bit useless. So you need all this. So it's kind of like in the build up, it's kind of like 90% this, 10% working on the head, maybe 20. But then on race day, it's literally 90% head and 10%, this. It's a complicated system, but the final thing that I'm going to start adding to my training week or my review of a training week is at any moment of this week, what was your like score out of 10 for how hard is this? How much do I want to stop? How much of my brain and body is going, please stop, this is too much, this is too hard. 10 being crawling on your hands and knees trying to run up a mountain, right? And 1 being you're out for an easy, leisurely walk stroke jog, right? It's just real easy, you're totally in control, you could do that all day. And then you're gonna, that will not always match up with the theory of science. But the example I gave to the physio was, if you go out of my house and you walk right and you turn right again, it's just uphill. And it goes all the way up to the top of a mountain called Cave Hill. And if every day I walked out of my house and I had the choice to go left or go right, I go left every day because left is downhill and then it's flat. But the first week that you decided to go right and run as hard as you can to the top of the mountain, it'd be fucking really hard, right? Your brain would be screaming at you, be saying, my God, I can't do this. But after a week or two, maybe week 3, maybe week 4, the brain starts being like, I'm kind of pretty good at this. I'm getting pretty good at this now. I like this. And it goes from this fear, this anxiety that overwhelms you, stiffens your body up, makes your breathing struggle. It goes from that fear, that anxiety, that toughness to, you know what, I can do this. I'm into this. I like this. But you have to do it. If you don't practice hard things, you will not be capable of hard things on race day. 2020 London Marathon, I like to talk about it a lot on the channel. It's far easier to talk about running 209 than the reality of how difficult that build-up was. Every single day was almost hard. For 5-6 weeks up that mountain, every single day was hard. I think I'm shying away a little bit from that hard work. And I love running. I love exercise. I love trying to work on these things like running economy and threshold paces. And I love it. And I've been doing this for 20 something years. So I'll forgive myself a little bit if I'm shying away from a bit of that hard work. But don't expect the big cake. Don't expect the big 209 or the 61 minutes if you're not going to put in those hard yards. Don't expect it. So expectations must change. If you want to achieve something that you've never ever achieved in your life before, you want to surprise yourself, you want to shock the world, it's likely you're going to have to do this build up, be disciplined, be dedicated, work on all those little things. It's likely you're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked before. It's likely that people watching on are going to go, he's a maniac, he's going to fall apart. That's what everybody would have said about me in 2020 until I went to Larne Half Marathon and ran 61:08, and then you're a genius. I don't know why I believed there was other ways to do this. I don't know why I believed I could find this cute recipe. Sometimes it's just hard work. I'm out in the back garden, I'm building saunas, I'm building sheds, I'm building ice baths. Do you think when part of what I'm building doesn't fit, I give up? Oh no. I make things fit, I force it, I put more labor into that than some days I was into the running. I make it work. In 2020, that's how I targeted the training. I'm not there yet, I can't keep up yet, but watch me next week. Next week I'll keep up. The week after that, it will be me who's able to push. And that was the difference. And so you must be willing to do hard things. You must be willing to push, or you'll not achieve these, these big goals that maybe you want, or these big things that you want to achieve. I have all this good information on joggingroom.com. It's this website I set up that has nutrition advice, strength advice, recovery, psychology, getting into all this stuff, and training plans. You can check that out. It's something like 60 odd lectures covering everything you could imagine. This 90% of stuff that I talked about in the build-up, all that good stuff, it's there. But that inner strength to be willing to push yourself harder than before, you really do need to start developing that. And so I really hope you enjoyed this. If you gain something out of it, like, subscribe, and take care. Enjoy your running. I talk in this very serious manner, but I appreciate that people watch and just want to know how to be better. And sometimes there isn't this secret type of training. It's just hard work. Let your body recover. eat well, sleep well, do all that stuff I'm talking about on joggingroom.com, and then get back out the next day and go hard again. If you overdo it, reel it back in, take it easier. Get some good rehab in place, prehab, look after your body, get on top of the nutrition, the strength stuff, or you will break down. So tread carefully, know your limits, but maybe to achieve something you've never achieved before, you're gonna have to work harder than you've ever worked before.